Ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone. Welcome in this new conference, Geopolitics, dedicated to current events global. Top news internationally, the situation between the Venezuela and the United States of America is far from over. On the contrary, it's getting worse every day. At the moment, we are in the process of talk. Venezuelan President Maduro, bolstered by support from Russia, Iran, and China, has just deployed its army and all militias, all units confused in a state of maximum alert. Maximum alert state, because obviously he is about to move on to the operational phase of everything military. And this triggering of the maximum alert, all the country's security forces, is related to a recent activity to which America has engaged. And what is this activity? It is one of the most formidable weapons held by the Army American that Donald Trump has just deployed in the Caribbean. And this deployment in the Caribbean of this ship, which is called the USS Gerald Ford, this is so that we can finalize the encirclement of Venezuela and thus start hitting cleanly the Venezuela. A few days ago, the Pentagon had announced that they have made several successful strikes, I think 19 total strikes, on elements, drug traffickers, that's their argument, elements of drug trafficking, and which reportedly resulted in several deaths. But well before that, in fact, Venezuela experiences a kind of encirclement where we have American bombers that come to rehearse simulations of airstrikes on Venezuela. But you also know that the Venezuela is strongly supported by the Russia, strongly supported by China, strongly supported by Iran. Moreover, Russia and Iran has not ceased to supply Venezuela with military equipment. And so, despite all these warnings, despite all these movements, America moves to another stage. And Venezuela, through its President Nicolas Maduro, does not want to let everything happen. And that's how it is, that the alert has been triggered. But what exactly happened? What is the position defensive on which Venezuela has just to put on, and what is surprising? It is therefore that's what we're going to talk about in the framework of this geopolitical conference dedicated to world news. But well, sure, before continuing, accept as usually to share the conference, give it lots of likes, and don't forget, do not click on the button subscribe if this is your first time to be here. Let's go into the depths then. So, according to the official announcement made by the President Nicolas Maduro, he made this announcement while the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford entered in the Caribbean. This ship, this large warship, which is one of the warships more important than America has, and entered the Caribbean, and its entry into the Caribbean is not fortunate, is to attack the Venezuela. SO President Nicolas Maduro ordered that the upper phase of the plan of Independence 200 and the 200 Independence Plan, that's what plan. This plan is a device that has been created, I was going to say, for response to any military activity American in the region. So the 200 Independence Plan was created by Nicolas Maduro's army for response to any activity hostile military of the United States of America in the region of the Caribbean. So that means the confrontation is coming very soon. So this plan included several phases. Now they have activated the upper phase. The initial elements have been activated. This time it's the phase superior. And so it is a mobilization perimeter expanded. And this mobilization perimeter, this concerns the ground forces. Therefore, within the framework of the Independence Plan of Blood, there are the perimeters of mobilization. Within the perimeter of mobilization, we have the forces, land forces, air forces, the naval forces, missiles, and the Bolivarian militia. All these elements are now in place in a state of operational readiness. Venezuelan missiles are in a state alert. The militias, the police, the gendarmerie, army, the naval forces, and the air force are all in position operational. SO and President Maduro accompanied. This alert was sent via a message. He said, he says, if Venezuela is attacked, the response will be a general strike. Insurrectionary and revolutionary against the United States of America. Good understood. The whole people will stand up against America. SO. The time he used, it's a tone more defensive. And this defensive tone, it's a people's warning. Because that if they do, even the citizens will be armed to rise up against the foreign power that wants to impose his dominion over Venezuela. That's what this message means. So, let's remember, American operations in the Caribbean, we witnessed the unfolding of a deployment American, Washington confirmed, 19 recent strikes against networks of drug trafficking in the Caribbean and the Pacific, which caused 76 deaths, according to the Pentagon. And immediately the government Venezuela has reacted. The government Venezuelan accuses the United States to conceal a military operation encirclement. For Venezuela, this is not a fight against drug traffickers or drug trafficking. Obviously, a fight, that is to say, it is an activity, military encirclement of Venezuela, because they want it at all cost to submit Venezuela to the whim and to dictates of the United States of America. And that's what the Venezuelan president Venezuela doesn't want to, because it has of the largest oil reserve in the world. So the Venezuelan Ministry of the Defense has made its position clear. The head of this ministry, the General Vladimir Padrino Lopez, he stated that the armed forces Bolivarian will preserve at all cost the interest sacred to the nation. That means that the army is fully behind the President Maduro. So for Venezuela, every maneuver American in the Caribbean Sea is an existential threat to which we will have to answer. And so, what are the repercussions? There is a risk to witness a face-to-face geopolitics that will have very serious regional repercussions. In any case, gentlemen, here is what it must be said first at this level.